And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today we're going to be talking about the latest news surrounding the NCAA's battle with Tennessee, all that, as well as probably one of the most diverse range of topics that we've had on this show, because the first 7-10 minutes are probably going to be really serious, talking about implications on the lawsuit and what the latest update means and all that good stuff. And then we're going to go to talking about someone watching SpongeBob in a strip club and a couple of other topics regarding things that happened over the weekend. Before we get to that, Sean, can you please share with our listeners a quick word from our friends over at BetOnline?
I would love to. As you know, Joe, we are in kind of the trials and tribulations of watching sports. College basketball is getting good, but it's not great yet. Hockey's fine, but it's hockey. Baseball's starting to get spring training, working towards it, not there yet. I keep winning money somehow. I don't watch these sports
I don't believe
all
you.
that often. I win money on golf. I just had a 5-leg, no-nothing parlay hit yesterday on college basketball. Home favorites, bingo, bango, $55 in my account. Joe, dumb, blind, and broke. Go to BetOnline. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your... Don't interrupt my reads, please. Anytime from your desktop or mobile devices. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team. And remember to use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. What were you trying to say?
Nothing. I just said go screw yourself because you called me blind and broke. I don't know who you think you're talking to over there, Skippy.
Blind broke man.
Yeah, settle down. Speaking of broke, the NCAA is about to be completely broken and killed off after, in an ongoing battle, for those that are a little late to this past Friday, though, a judge granted an injunction in that case that is suspending any NCAA rules on name, image, and likeness, and is, I believe, placing a temporary restraining order on the whole situation. My main takeaway from all this, Sean, is that we have finally gotten to the point where the NCAA has dug themselves into their own hole. I have no idea how they seemingly thought that this was going to be a strong, thought-out plan in order to regain some footing in the NIL landscape and the ruling landscape, and to prevent recruiting inducement. Instead, they have placed themselves in the worst possible position because they did not have the forethought or the potential sight to see that something like this could happen, that they could be completely suspended for having any ruling. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
They baked a half-baked cake, and it had good frosting on it, and people bought it, and then they got the slices on the inside and said, hey, this cake isn't very good. Who made this? We made it? Oh, God. Here come the calls. My kid's sick. People are sick from the cake you made, and now you're trying to fix it. You baked the bad cake at the beginning. Everyone was happy about NIL. I think it's a good thing. Portal opening up, fine, whatever. I don't have as huge of a problem as that as others. But to retroactively try to crack down was the worst call they could have made. Of course, the courts ruled in favor of Tennessee and Virginia, because how couldn't they? You pushed to get this. You pushed and pushed, and you never had a product that could stand on its own. You never had rules that could stand on their own that you wouldn't get mad about. How are you going to make the rules and get mad about it when people try to work around them? It's a sport. It's a game. It's unbelievable. They've lost all power. And it just pushed it. They got fat and happy, right? And that's why we're getting the 2-team conference moving forward, because they got complacent. They were, what is the stupid term, Joe, they weren't working with anticipation of what could happen. There's a better word for it. They were reacting and not acting. And now you have to react and either build something better, or they have to have a better pitch than Sankey and Petiti. That's the only way they stay in power. Hard to do. I don't think Sankey wants to be running a whole league all by himself with new guy Petiti. So the NCAA needs to have a proposal as good or better the next time it comes around if they want to keep any semblance of power. Right now, it's looking terrible.
Yeah, the bit again. I said this a second ago. The biggest part to me, and the reason why, and we said this in the first time that we talked about it, that because they tried to retroactively enforce this instead of, and also this is something that constantly gets brought up in this, is Tennessee guilty of doing something illegal or not? That's not what the issue is. The fact of the matter is, and what the argument by Tennessee is that there was too much vagueness in the rules that were presented to them. And because of that, they were merely just operating without any strict enforcement by what their boosters were doing, what their NIL collective was doing. They were operating freely as long as it fit the loose guidelines. If the NCAA wanted to make headway in establishing footing and power and being able to uphold this power that they used to have, they needed to have placed rules and been very specific with those rules. Charlie Baker needed to come to the table and say, this is what we're doing going forward, and this is how we're going to handle it. Trying to punish somebody before doing that is what led to this mess. I'm just really dumbfounded that an organization that has been around for as long as it has and has had such a heavy wielding hammer over the fates of the greatest programs in the sport. There have been some massive cases of death penalties in which they have completely brought down that hammer and completely decimated the futures of programs. Like, I think of Miami right now, we see the direction that they've been. They have had no luck since what has happened to them in the early 2000s. So we're now at the spot, though, where they have so poorly acted that this has gone in the complete opposite direction. I don't know what they thought was going to come of this. Like, I don't know how NIL and how the federal courts ruled against them in 2001, I believe it was, that they were going to get the upper hand in this, and that these schools weren't going to fight back aggressively, and that the courts were not going to then side with these universities. It's such an insane point that we've gotten to. That is it Charlie Baker's fault? Is it somebody else in the administration that we don't know about's fault? Was this almost a trap that was set by Tennessee and the SEC? That's almost where the point where I'm at. Where it's so stupid. It feels like a trap.
They gave the kids a Lego set and were mad when the kids didn't build what was on the box. And they started, you gave us the Legos. We built a car. I know that on the box was a house, but we built a car and now you don't like it, but you gave us the Legos. How can you complain? I think they need to give up on it. Right now, the NCAA should give up on whatever they're doing with NIL. Scrap that. It's going to have to figure itself out. It's probably not going to get much better, but it's going to have to figure itself out. They need to start focusing on employment. They need to start focusing on whatever else is coming down the barrel where they can get a jump start and say, hey, we were caught with our pants down every single time on the last 5 issues. What's the next one? Because we can't butcher it. They might, but they just need to just give up. If you need to build another bad team of people that are already overworked and way too stretched out, do that. And they can oversee it. It's not going to be great, but that's just what it is. But you can't keep on not being proactive about what's coming next. Employment's coming next. It's either that or the 2 team. You have to be ready. How can they, though? They haven't proven it.
I think that what you just brought up there, I think that is really, if the NCAA wants to remain alive and well, they have to. They absolutely 1,000% have to focus their attention on something else, because the NIL issue is now unenforceable by them. It is going, no matter who else they try to investigate and whatnot.
They're just going to keep getting sued, and they're going to keep getting beat in court.
The only way that they can do good in this, and the problem is that they had such a, I'm trying to think of the way I want to describe this. They had such in a way, it was a malicious intent. The intent was, we're not happy with the way that this whole NIL thing is being handled. So we're going to come back and be really restrictive on it, even though we were not specific on what those restrictions were.
Yeah.
If they want to do good for the sport, like you just talked about, they need to spend the next year or so being quiet and spend all of their energy towards properly projecting and building out what revenue sharing looks like at the college level. And I don't know if that's even something that they can really figure out, because this might have to be a conference by conference thing, because the NCAA is not the entity that's in negotiations for TV rights deals. That's where all this money is going to be coming from.
Yeah.
But if they can put together some sort of a guideline and they can lay all that out and make all this legal, instead of trying to be dickheads, instead of trying to be difficult and overly old-fashioned, they need to be forward-thinking. And the only thing that they can be forward-thinking on right now, because they have fumbled this NIL thing, is focusing on revenue sharing for players.
It's their last chance. And I'll be clear, I want the NCAA to stick around. They're a great villain. And when it's working, it's a fine system. It's so tough to have this many entities to oversee. The NCAA, they got too big to regulate, and maybe that's a good thing. And they just it got too popular. College sports got way too popular. They didn't expect it to be this big. They didn't expect to have this many issues. I want them to stick around because watching them is fun. It's entertaining outside of the sports to see what they do and how they're scrambling. It's like reality TV. It's great, but they can't keep losing. They have to win one, or else it just gets way too lopsided. It can't get too lopsided.
But that's kind of what I'm saying, where I brought up and said it was malicious, because right now they're backed in the corner and they're trying to pick fights with whoever is in front of them. They need to be coming at this from a collaborative approach. It is the only way that they will survive as an enforceable entity, is if they work to collaborate with all of these teams and build a strong, bright future for the game and for all athletics in college.
Hey,
otherwise,
Woodstock Joe.
Shut up. Are you make fun of something that I what? What do you?
I just don't think coaches really like collaboration that much.
But
that's the tough part.
Well, you're not working with.
They like recruits, and they like having talented players more than they like collaboration, and that's tough for the NCAA. You have to find a way to get these guys to work on your side, because you're right.
But it's not the coaches; it's the administrators. By the way, sorry, I didn't mean to say shut up. I thought you were going to make fun of me because I said collaborate weird. You started smirking the minute I said it. It's the administrations that they need to collaborate with. That's who they need to start working with. And I would argue coaches and teams and schools would like to not have to be the ones that they have to fall on the sword. They would like for somebody else to fall on the sword for when something goes wrong, right? I mean, that's why the NCAA exists, is there needs to be something that can get sued when something bad goes wrong. That's a bit, big reason why it's still there, and why I think a lot of conferences and teams wouldn't want to get rid of it.
It's good to have the scapegoat, but now it's just, they're not the bully anymore. They're getting bullied. They're getting bullied by everyone. The NCAA has no pimp hand. They have no strength. They have no authority, because every time they go to court, they lose. How do you keep on losing? And you could keep on giving violations, but what violation will matter? Have you seen how creative these teams are getting? NIL for walk-ons, a complete substitute for a scholarship. I know it's been happening. That's creative. It's a workaround. You had no plans for that, and now you're complaining because walk-ons are getting enough money for tuition. They complain about weird things. They make the rules that are supposed to benefit other players going to play football, get an education, they make it seem like a bad thing, where it's not. Like, we can't have this. Why can't you? Why couldn't a walk-on that's wanted by a team get paid by a booster, NIL, whatever it is? That's what you want. You want a player, right? You want players playing in your conference or in your league, NCAA. You want the players. You're driving them away. they continue to drive them away. They need to make a player fair employment decision, grant the rights, all that. They need to make it fair for the players, or else they don't have the power. They'll go somewhere else. I think we're just about ready for them to go somewhere else.
We'll see what ends up happening with this, as this situation is really just starting to heat up.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning of this. All right, time to talk about stupid shit. Sean, you kick us off with this first off-season topic here.
Oh, sure. I'd love to. We'll start with the demise of Twitter. Joe, you're on fire this weekend. You sent some good ones to me. The DMs is a lot of show prep. You sent one that put me in a rage for about 5 minutes because this was a trigger moment for me and I didn't realize it.
Which one did I send you?
This New York style diner serves Coke the same way, and then people, I guess, online have had similar thoughts as me, where these aggregation accounts that are ran by bots that post interesting things because they inherently are interesting keep posting the same videos. And I think Musk wanted Twitter to be more like YouTube. Okay, fine. YouTube, fine model. But there are so many big accounts that are all bots and they all reply to each other and they all have to be sending each other the same shit, that if there is a diner in New York that serves Coke in the same style as 1997, I can't figure out why, when, how, where until I scroll through 50 other goddamn bots showing me other interesting shit. I can't go to that yet. I'm trying to figure out about the soda and the syrup. And you're showing me a Tanzanian beverage. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll check this out. I hate where it's going. Stop trying to suck me in with the bots. It's getting big posts on Twitter, getting way less available to regular people to see the fun comments or quotes. And I'm up in arms about it. And I hate that you're siding with the 97-year-old diner in New York.
I just think that you're overthinking this.
I'm online too much. I'm on Twitter too much that it's become an issue for me.
I think the bigger thing that bothers me is every time I tweet something, pussy in bio is commented on every single thing that I post. That I'm a little more annoyed about. And I just, when there's those big posts, I usually scroll past them. I don't go in the comments because I know that it's just going to be feverish nonsense. No, I don't go into the bio, man. I don't want.
Well, it's there in bio.
I mean, it's free engagement though on your tweets though. I mean, you get the occasional comment and like.
When Instagram had a problem when it was first starting, I think they had a big problem in like 17 or maybe 15. Just porn bots everywhere. Started following people. I'm like, all right, well, they're not hurting me. That's just another number. I get that. What is it about this diner though that intrigues you personally? Because
I've been to the diner before. I've been to the diner a lot. Right near where I used to get my hair cut in New York. It was like right around the corner.
Have you taken your barber to the diner?
No. Actually, I don't know if he's come with us before. The guy's working.
It's not healthy, the relationship that you and your family have with this.
I take him. We'd go to dinner with him all the time. God forbid I have I have a relationship with somebody that I also have a consumer relationship with. Like, why is that a problem? Like, I don't understand.
The gentleman that cuts my hair that I obviously want to be a part of my family. It's a weird relationship.
You don't know how to talk to people. You don't know how to interact
I do know how to talk to people. Yeah, I do.
I also don't think you know how to vibe with adults. I just think that like you're stuck with 20-somethings. And
look how cool you sound, by the way. You know how to vibe with adults. What is this channel trying to vibe with adults?
I don't know, man. You've got such a problem with me.
Two guys that got kids, and now you're vibing with adults.
I just think you have this unhealthy obsession with how I interact with certain people in my life, just because there's some sort of commercial interaction involved. Just because I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
What's the deal with the diner? What's the deal with the syrup and the old Coca-Colas?
I don't know. I've actually never had Coca-Cola at the diner, and
You're useless to me.
I recognized the guy and I recognized the diner the first time I saw this clip, and I was like, oh, I had no idea that was something that they did there. I legitimately had no idea. They make really good eggs and really good bacon, though. Very good bacon. I've been there a million times. You just go once a month.
Who'd you see there once? Jesse McCartney? Who'd you see?
Why? This is such a terrible approach to get me to say things.
I'm just asking you, man.
I have a pre-show conversation with you, and you're just
Well,
like,
you just keep on
speak the details. Like, fuck, God, have a little more.
I want to
have
know. I can't get the details on Twitter, so give me everything you know.
Have
about
a
this
little bit more
matter.
grace. I one time when I was a kid saw Paul McCartney in there.
Oh.
Like, what? It's a lot less interesting when you're just jamming it down everyone's throat.
You never told me you saw a Beatle before in real life, and now you're telling me that on a Sunday, mid-February in 2024.
You're trying to tell my
you're
story
telling me
through me
you
telling
knew a
it to you
Beatle?
5 minutes before we started recording.
I got distracted by the barber for a moment. Every time it was going well, and then you brought up the barber, and it completely threw me off because that relationship is so
It's normal.
incestuous.
It's completely normal.
It's not normal. I don't get beers with my barber. I don't know anybody that does.
Because you don't have a consistent
I know
barber.
everybody that likes their barber. I've been going to the same barber for the last 3 months.
Oh God, 3 months, man. That's such a that's like saying I'm in a serious relationship with this girl we've been dating for 3 months.
I don't know anybody that dislikes their barber, and I also don't know anybody that says, "Hey, I got plans with my barber later." Do you get where I'm coming from here?
He's a family friend. That's not what this is. I'm not saying I have a close personal relationship with him.
Before he started cutting your hair.
No.
Or did he become a family friend?
He was cutting my before I was born, he would cut my dad's hair. Okay.
Okay.
When they were both much younger, when my dad moved to New York City. And they developed again, you have not gone and gotten your hair cut by somebody for a long enough period of time. You were probably one of those like completely antisocial fucks that sits in the chair and doesn't want to talk to the barber.
I don't say
You're
a
probably
word.
one of those people.
I don't say a word.
You're sitting here like questioning how like I have a personal relationship.
I sit in the chair next to my guy if he's got a chair, if he's got someone in the chair, and then when that guy's done, I go.
It's a social interaction.
You know exactly what I'm.
It is a social interaction. You sit in silence and
it's
you
a
just
haircut.
want this peasant
Why do I need
cut
to
your
do
hair?
a podcast while I'm having my haircut?
That's not what it's about.
Take an
good
inch off the top,
barbers are
please.
good conversationalists, and they're easy to talk to.
Oh my God. You know what? Maybe your barbers need to focus a little more on the hair cutting and then less about the chit chat with
my
Mr.
hair
Media.
looks fine. My hair looks
know about
fine. You
that.
get the same short haircut every single time.
Now we're hitting
haircut.
on my hair. My hair's fine. This is fine hair right now. It's a little, it's a little matted.
Yeah, it's every
My hair's
big,
fine.
It's every big-headed white guy in their mid-20s, the same haircut that everyone has.
So now we're making fun of head size, something that I can't make my head smaller. I can't.
Because you're attacking me
sucks.
Do you just not like people in the service industry? Is that what this is?
No, I have very fond memories of many. There are times I've wanted to start a life with waiters when I see them bringing me a big beer. I say, I could run away with you.
You're a bad person. You know that? You're a bad person.
How am I bad? You are lusting over this barber cutting your hair.
Okay, here, I'll give you I'm not lusting. There's nothing lusting about it. He and my dad are close friends, and we often will have dinner with him every so often. Especially whenever I come home.
Dinner with him when we're
no, because you don't know him.
Not?
I'm not taking you there because you've only spoken.
I don't get to meet the barber now.
Because you've only spoken so many negative things about him.
I don't get to meet the magic barber.
Right, wait. Let me ask you this. One of my other growing up close personal family friends, not me, just family friends close with my dad,
sure,
was somebody who owned one of the Italian restaurants in the town that we lived in, and we used to just go there so often that eventually my dad started, becoming friends with him, and then we used to go over to that person's house for a lot of holidays. Is that also weird?
That's not terribly weird.
People can develop relationships with people that work in the service industry.
Why are you
bad
making
person?
This a big thing?
Because you made it a big thing.
I'm not anti-service industry. I'm not. I've worked in it. I've lived it. More than you.
No, probably about the same.
Okay, you were selling lemonade. I was
so bad at it.
Sweating over a grill, having Rhode Island kids give me their burgers back because they were too salty and peppery.
I worked in the kitchen too. I just got kicked out of it because I kept eating while I was working.
Dude, when I was at Bonnet Shores. If I wasn't found, I was in the freezer because I was so hot from standing over the grill. I never worked a full shift. I said I had meetings. I worked 5 hours max. Never a full day.
I'm skipping over the
That's
third
fine.
topic we have. I want to talk about Madame Web. I texted you about it. So I went to go see it this weekend and went with.
Hold on. Why? Why would you see Madam Web?
I wanted to go see it because everybody was talking about how horribly terrible it was, and honestly,
Okay.
my
all right.
expectations. Trust me, I was not going because I was intrigued.
I know you like you. I know you're not a complete hater of superhero movies, so we haven't talked about it in a while.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't know if you were genuinely excited about Madam Web.
I just kept seeing people talking about how bad it was, that it was worth the experience of going to see it. Like if you enjoy movies, it is worth seeing how bad it is. So I told my girlfriend, I was like, let's go see this on Friday. And she was like, oh, like a bunch of my friends from work wanted to go, so we'll go meet with them. They showed up just hammered, unbelievably hammered. One of the guys was a friend of the friend group who had been drinking since noon on a Friday. Like, I don't know what this guy does for work. I kind of respect him. Was so drunk and was yelling for the first 20 minutes of the movie. Security had to escort him out, which was in and of itself part of the experience. But people were yelling throughout this whole movie because it was so goddamn stupid. It was so ham-fisted. The dialogue and the writing was just so unbelievably direct. There was no nuance. There was no like trying to be sudden about things. It was like this, like this really bad thing is about to happen. It was every horrible trope in a movie, in a superhero movie that could have possibly been put into a movie. But the worst part about it, and I texted you this, you in college had this fixation on this idea that you wanted to produce a movie that had an anti-movie, as you described it, that had nonstop audio issues and technological video issues, like the boom mics hanging down.
Stuff that really made the viewer hurt.
There was one character who was the villain whose voice did not align with with his audio. And clearly they went and re-recorded a lot of his lines in the booth. And not only did it not match up, and whoever is the audio engineer should be shot.
No.
The tone also was different. He changed the tone and his delivery in the audio booth than the way that he delivered it when they shot it. There wasn't a single instance where him speaking was correctly lined up with his mouth moving. But on top of that, there was also a boom mic that snuck its way into one of the scenes.
Nice.
And then the cutting was hilarious. The editing, there was one scene where they were in the hospital at the end of the movie, and this is consistent with the whole movie. In the hospital, and
who was in the Madam Web was in the hospital?
Madam Web was in the hospital with the three girls, and a nurse walks in and makes the like, are you close family? And then very cheesy, yes, they're my family. And in this shot, the nurse walks in, has like her clipboard, is like opening something up, and is like clearly like looking at paperwork. The next cut, there's nothing in between. It's just her reversing course and then walking out of the room. So there was no purpose of this individual walking into the room. They literally walked in. They decided that they weren't going to make it make sense that this woman was just going to have suddenly everything in front of her was closed and then she walked out of the room. So that happened multiple times in the movie.
Gotcha. Well, it should have had good reviews then. Okay, so it's got a 12% on the tomato meter. That's the critics, and the audience gave it a 57%. These are out of what?
It's too high.
Or 100?
100. That is too high.
100. Jeez.
That is too high. That is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen.
You can't give it a 0, but out of 100, what do you give it?
1.
No, it was that bad.
It was the worst piece of shit that I have ever seen.
Oh no. Was it? Did you? Okay, because Thor: Love and Thunder was the worst piece of shit that I've ever seen. And the only
I haven't seen it, but I can imagine.
That's my one out of 100 movie.
I'm telling you, go see it. If you have time, just go. It's worth the experience.
Dude, the movies this last month, we all decided, all right, we're not going to be drinking as much, so we might as well watch some more movies. Going into the theaters, just watch. I mean, it's bad. The last bad. It's been like an eternity waiting for some good movies to be out. Because as soon as we started getting going on this, Iron Claw was just leaving theaters. So there was like Wonka. It was Migration, the animated movie. We saw American Fiction, which was pretty
Did
good.
you see Migration?
I did not see Migration. People saw The Beekeeper. The Beekeeper sucked. I mean, really, after award season, you can't. This is when we should be drinking. All this dry January bullshit, that's a lie. It's the worst. There's no good movies out. After when football's done, this is the only month of the every day until good movies come out. That's when the drinking should happen. When it's summer to New Year's, sober. And then this stretch should just be America's binge. That's all it should be. And then we get healthy again. Everybody mistimes it.
I'm telling you, you need to go to see this movie, though. As a self-labeled cinephile, you need to go.
I'm the cinephile?
Yeah, you've called yourself a cinephile before.
Oh, I am not a cinephile. I like
maybe a different kind of file.
Cinephiles don't like no other types of files.
As a movie enjoyer, I think you need to go see this movie.
What did you get in the theater? Did you get popcorn, candy, drinks?
No, I didn't. I've been trying to stay light on what I've been consuming because the period of time.
Theater, you need something at the theater.
I got the most obnoxiously large.
Did you get the Dune bucket?
No, I wanted to get the Dune bucket. I was scolded for suggesting it. I didn't want to get popcorn though because it's a lot of calories. I got an enormously large soda and I got Pibb Zero, and I could not sleep. I forget.
Zero?
Yeah, Mr. Pibb's great, and there was no calories in the zero version, and it was the most comically large soda. I couldn't sleep. I literally couldn't sleep. There was so much caffeine in that thing. What? You don't like Mr. Pibb?
Are you doing a bit?
I'm not doing a bit. I don't want to sit there.
Are you doing an RDC Dr. Thunder bit? Who's Dr. Thunder?
Mr. Pibb is great.
Yellow.
You don't like Mr.
You're a
Pibb?
Pepsi guy? You have to be a Pepsi guy. Mr.
I'm
Pibb stinks.
Oh,
Mr.
you stink.
Pibb is awful.
Mr.
I had
Pibb is
Dr.
the best.
Pepper last night. It knocked my balls off.
Mr. Pibb is Dr. Pepper.
Why are you standing up for Mr. Pibb?
Mr. Pibb's great.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Pibb reeks.
You're a piece of shit. It's great.
You didn't even get a real Mr. Pibb. You got a Mr. Pibb Zero, which
because
I
it would
can't
have been
believe they had
600 calories the size of the drink that I bought.
I can't believe they had a budget. Oh, you're counting soda calories. We know those.
Yeah.
Don't count. They have fruit in them. They're healthy. Look,
What?
Mr.
Zero
Pibb.
calorie sodas is one of the biggest cheats that you could pull off that people make fun of.
They give me diarrhea, the zeros. Regardless, Mr. Pibb Zero.
Everything gives you diarrhea.
Not true. Mr. I can't believe they have the resources to not only keep Mr. Pibb around, but to have a spin-off Zero. How could they? There's not a budget
Perfectly
for
normal.
That.
It's perfectly normal.
No,
there is a budget because
Mr. Pibb
people
is
like
the
me love Mr. Pibb.
Third team. Who's people like you? You're a Mr. Pibb fan?
Yes, I love Mr. Pibb. I will seek out Mr. Pibb if I can find it. I like Dr. Pepper too, but if I see Mr. Pibb, I will get Mr. Pibb.
You're going with the Mr. over the doctor here.
You're almost never going to have both because of competing sales in,
Is Mr. Pibb a California
various
thing?
venues.
Or were you chugging
No.
Pibb back in Jersey?
I was chugging Pibb back in the day.
You're a piece of garbage.
I'm a Pibber. I'm a Pibber,
you're
man.
Not a Pibber. No, that's not a thing. Learning
The last
more
thing
about
when you
is
wrote
a
down on
nightmare.
here, by the way, was related to somebody ordering an espresso martini pitcher, and you were going to ask what other booze could we put in a pitcher. Forget that. I need a pitcher of Mr. Pibb. That's what I need.
You're not being.
Is that
Here.
illegal? Is that illegal?
It's not illegal, but I just don't know why you're locking in on Pibb Zero.
God forbid I don't want to be like every single 1 and 0 in society, and I want to
You're
be a little
taking
different.
stand against Big Soda?
Yeah, no, it's not a big soda thing. I just don't want to be a generic NPC. God forbid a man has different tastes than the general consensus like you do.
I drink orange soda. I drink pineapple soda.
I
I
drink
drink
orange
strawberry.
soda. What, okay.
I'm saying Coke's not my number one. I think Diet Pepper is my number one if we're doing dark soda, and then it would be.
Oh,
fruit
now all of a
soda.
sudden you're drinking the diet ones and you're giving me shit.
I'm not drinking diet. That's
You
also
just
a
said Diet
diarrhea
Pepper.
factory.
You just
Dr.
said diet.
Pepper.
Okay.
Doctor. Sorry, all the nomenclature with these sodas is messing me up.
You're probably a Sprite guy, loser. At Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod on Twitter. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in. We won't be back on Thursday, but after we got a tape on Monday, probably when my flight gets in, we'll figure all that out. Enjoy the rest of your week.